Now everybody on social media wants to be called king.
What do you have to say to people who say the fact that you can be a jack of all trades but master of none?
Do you leave your family for your hustle or you come back?
Come back to it.
That's how I plan the content. If I have a frame, if I have to burn paintings, I'll burn it. You can be an engineer 9 to 5 and you can be a beautiful artist 10 to 12 right at night. The other way is not. You cannot be an artist full day and randomly be an engineer.
Which AI would you prefer? AI that make life easier or AI that entertains? You know, these companies, they are not integrating the pre-existing solution, they are making something of their own. Good morning, humans. Welcome to your go-to show, Finding Niche, where our mission is solely to talk to people, talk to entrepreneurs, talk to professionals who found their success in passion. And today on the show, we have somebody special. Today we have with us Siddharth Samant. Well, a brief intro about him. He works currently at Deloitte in the department of AI. He is an AI consultant there. He's a machine learning expert as well. And currently he's breaking ground on Instagram by making some artistic content there as well. Siddharth, welcome on the show. Thank you for coming. How are you here?
Thanks for having me. Just visiting my hometown during Diwali. And it's like a custom whenever I'm in Ranchi, it's like a must to visit Mesra.
Right. Just a heads up, guys. Siddharth and I are from the same college. He's my alumni. You passed out in which year?
21.
So he's a 21 year. He's my senior. It's always great to have a senior back at the college. How is the feeling here? Like all refreshing memories.
I have been visiting Mesra since 2021. I think we passed out during COVID, but post that there are a few changes,
Right.
both mostly
Right.
on the positive side.
Right.
But we'll keep the rest of conversations for off camera.
Definitely, yeah, definitely. Yeah, you know what? So I was preparing for this podcast. I was going through your Instagram. I was going through your LinkedIn. But I really want to put forward this question. Yeah, who are you really, man? You are the guy who is working for Deloitte as an AI consultant. You are making quality content on Instagram, which is making, which are generating views around 100k, 300k, which is not easy. Like getting viral on social media, there has to be a trick to it. You have figured that out. You are a passionate guy who loves horse riding. You do mixed martial arts. Who are you really, man? A multifaceted personality, intriguing to me.
So, I think I attribute that to a lot of reading that I do about people. So, if you compare when I was in college, your entire personality is based on let's do some studies.
Right.
Even your parents would say that, dude, this is the time, prepare for it. There is your entire life ahead, but for now, let's focus on this. So, but when you come outside and when you start meeting people in your college, in your organization where you work, you find that your life is not restricted to these things, and time management is a myth. When you're a student, you think that okay, you'll get tired. I'm going to sleep in the evening. But when you read about, let's say, kings, right? Let's say a 13-year-old king, a prince. I think 4,000 or 5,000 years back, 500 years back, they were supposed to know geography. They were supposed to know how to fight. They were supposed to know art. They were supposed to know diplomacy. And all that with a sword hanging on the neck.
Right.
Anytime they could have been killed. And they were kings because they could handle all of these things. Without GPS, without a YouTube video on how I can be a king, top 10 ways to be a king. There was nothing there, but still people used to manage that. And I think with time, we have evolved into someone who gets tired very easily. But I try to draw inspiration from there, from people that I know who are in their organizations working, but still able to manage all these skills, whatever they want to learn. And from when you shift to cities like metro cities like Bangalore and Kolkata, you find out that everybody's in tech.
Right.
Everybody's in tech. Like when you're sitting in a cafe, somebody who is sitting with you in a cafe might be a founder, might be someone from your own organization, another organization.
Right.
They're working.
Right.
So it's like you want to find an escape. And it's like I've seen people they're waiting for Friday. I just want to eliminate that. I want to live on my terms. I'm not saying that job isn't the way of that thing. It should be a mix, a harmony between what you're doing on your weekends, plus your Friday evenings should be a mix of your job and what you want to do.
Definitely. That's a unique perspective of, looking life at. Definitely, yeah, that's the culture here, right? People are waiting for the Friday to come and ये काम नहीं करना है और हो गया, let's take a break. But interestingly, you put this question that when the students are in their college time, they are focused on just pick that one niche, उसी में काम करो, right? And your observation कि यार putting that observation of the king's life, they are doing everything. I really wanted to have your insight on the fact कि is this something to blame Indian education for, or this is something that's a fight you pick and then that's a decision you make whether you do things that you really want to and not listen to the society?
So I think you cannot generalize it because the definition of success and what you want to do depends on the resources that maybe your family has.
Right.
I'll be very honest, when you're a student, even in a small city, there are buckets where someone as a student can go to school, come back in a luxury car, and then decide what the student wants to do, right? Like, I will go to the coaching, my professor will come to my home, and then if I want to do, if I want to play golf, my parents are capable of providing me that resource.
Right.
Sometimes the entire measure of success is that one day I'll be able to buy a car.
Right.
And then your parents are like, hey, it's like a dream that we had, and we see that reflecting in you.
Right.
And in those cases, you don't even get having that dream is a luxury. That you cannot have that envision that I want to have horses if your everyday scenario in your home itself looks like. So I'd say it's coming from a point of privilege. Even the capacity to dream something like that comes from a point of privilege. It's not very easy to get. So it's partly where you stand in your life, partly the system, because if the system cannot adjust to everyone's need.
Right.
It has to be uniform. There's nothing to blame. I remember when I was in school, we used to blame, right? Why am I reading chemistry? Why don't I have a personalized syllabus? But if you do the math,
Right.
the cost to create a personalized syllabus, a personalized exam for every student, do you think that's possible?
That's not feasible, definitely.
It's not feasible. So you'll have to go out of the way if you want to do something like that.
Got it. Makes sense. So you come from a privileged background?
I'd say not very, definitely to some extent. And then post that, you'll have to find that where do you want to use this privilege to, because that's very important. Even if you have that privilege, if it's not in you that you want to learn these skills, you want to spend it over here or here, then it's a choice. And even then, it's not easy. In Bangalore, like I said, everybody has that option.
Right.
On weekends, you can have anything. But I've seen that, like I said, people adjust to things where, and it's ironic, people adjust to things that are forced on them. Tomorrow, let's say if my office says that 5 days office, people are going to start coming. Let's say somebody who is not going to the gym because they're not a morning person. They say that I cannot go to the gym because I'm not a morning person, dude. It's in their favor. Still, they don't adjust. But the moment the office will say that 5 days office, they will change their habits. Even though it's against their will, they'll do it.
Right.
But for some skill they want, something that's making them happy, they're not going to change it. And so ironic, right? You do change yourself for the thing that you don't want to do, and you don't change it for things that you actually want to do.
Right. Interestingly, I was going through the study. It was saying that the most successful businesses ever made were by the people who come from uttermost underprivileged backgrounds. And to at some extent I realized that why is this so, and what I feel like कि ऐसा क्यों है is because they take this as a challenge and a route to escape from their daily life, the challenges they are facing at home, and they want to I want to get rid of this, that's why I'm building this. And on the other hand, people who are very privileged, let's say a son or a daughter of a very wealthy guy, they have everything, to be honest.
Yeah.
So what's your take on this?
So I'd say that what will you say when somebody's already owning 2 companies and they start a 3rd company?
Then it's a different thrill.
That's a different thrill, right?
Yeah.
So that is as an example of where somebody is privileged, yet they know how to build a business. So I think there are stakes where both kind of people, because someone who has got nothing to lose in the game, for them it's kind of thrilling. I have nothing to lose.
Right.
I have nothing to work upon. This is something that I'm going to give my life to, and there they excel. Like again, we see the success stories, we don't see the failures. I have been part of startups which failed for multiple reasons, so we don't see that. And
Right.
like I'll be the example where I was not a business owner or something like that, and it failed, right? So that is on this side of the spectrum. On the other side, if let's say somebody who is already having a lot of people, companies, let's say there are a lot of people who already have built multiple companies and they are starting the next venture, they also get succeed because the positive point is they have network, they have
Right.
resources, and they
Right.
have the market cracked. So I think it's multifaceted. The side, like somebody
Right.
has the
Right.
thrill, somebody has I know how to crack this.
Comes to the passion and the daily grind that the person has to in order to build.
And I think the because some fields you can crack with pure grind.
Mm-hmm.
Some fields you need the gray matter. You cannot succeed without it. Like if you want to start a pharmaceutical company, you cannot just start on the basis of grind.
Right.
You need to have the proper gray matter, the dedicated people for that. It's not just
Right. Makes sense. This totally makes sense. Yeah. But so I'm talking to you. I have talked to many other professionals and founders, and one thing that they all have in common to say is that they don't like working with Gen Zs. They don't like working with us. What do you have to say with them? They're like, यार इनमें work ethic ही नहीं है. इनको ना काम करना है. इनको नखरे बहुत है इनके. यार.
There's definitely a shift,
What is
and
this?
I think the people, the millennials, they have the tendency of going 100%,
Mm-hmm.
200%. Like, I won't care about my sleep schedule. I won't care where am I sleeping, what am I eating. These things are secondary. So, if I'm building a company, that comes first. That is my soul, attention, everything
Right.
that I give. But I think in Gen Z, people try to find a balance. Sometimes I cannot generalize. Nobody
Correct,
can generalize.
correct.
But as a data scientist, a machine learning engineer, I'm talking about a statistic. So if it's like 85% of people do it, I'll consider that as a statistic. So there is a thing where they have tried mixing it out, balancing it out. That if I'm doing it, I need a rest. I need a break. Maybe that's the case because I cannot generalize where if I worked with 10 people from Gen Z, and it's a very skewed sample space.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, but that is my brief observation because mostly I have worked with millennials, less Gen Z.
And like, is it okay to find a work-life balance for, let's say, a 22, 23-year-old? Or that's just totally rubbish? You should work and grind.
So, see, I think this ties back to the last question that you asked. That how do you think people who are starting from nothing versus somebody who is
Correct. That totally makes sense. Huh?
already built? So, let's say if I'm a founder with a very privileged background, let's say I just want to build something new, I can be on a 5 p.m. Zoom call with an environment like this and my yoga instructor waiting that
Right.
the moment sir is over with the
Right.
call,
Right.
we'll start with that and somebody's going to bring my orange juice post that. But if I'm someone, let's say, coming to meet someone who's living at a place like this and I've got an appointment at 9 a.m. and I won't be able to meet the person at 10. This happens. Like,
Yeah.
like when I say I was a member of one of the startups, and there I had to meet a lot of people. And when you're not established, you find out that it's not easy to meet people. So you start with a plan that, okay, I'll do this at 9, 12 I'll do this, 1:30 I'll do this. You find that you're still at the place at 1:30 where you're supposed to wrap up at 10.
Right.
So that happens, like power, privilege, everything comes into play. So I think that is there. You cannot ignore that thing.
Yeah, totally makes sense.
And that reflects on the work-life balance eventually. You're going back at 7 p.m. at night, fully drained. Then, I mean, it's one thing reading about kings and everything, but unless and until you are habituated, it's not going to come. Like, it's difficult to go to, like, I go to the gym mostly post 9 p.m. because I find it very peaceful. And like, because I've been doing it for so long that my body is habituated, like it will take it even after the entire day. But if somebody is starting as a founder, non-privileged, and the person is thinking that, okay, I'll do gym also, everything, it gets slightly difficult. I mean, if somebody can pull that off, hats off.
Right. And there's never a day you miss gym?
No, so like I do it 4 days, 5 days a week.
4 days,
2
5 days a
days.
week.
So it depends, like if I'm going to my MMA classes, then it gets mixed up because those two are different activities.
So, like, you plan your day very statistically, I'll be honest. Matlab, you have a lot of workload, I'm assuming, and then you are managing content creation, then gym. How do you do
So
that?
initially when I started, it was difficult because your body is getting accustomed to a lot of things. So every activity that I do has a different mental and physical, I'd say, setting and that warm up period. So when I was learning horses, I'll tell you an interesting story.
Yeah.
So I used to work out a lot, and I was
Right.
like fit, okay. And lifting weights is a different thing. And when I got to know that there is a session, there's a place where they teach horse riding, and I asked, and they were like, "This is the amount, this is the fees, and there'll be 40 minutes session
Right.
maximum." And I was like, "Dude, the amount you're asking for 40 minutes, it's like
It's crazy, yeah.
crazy." Uh, so I thought that 40 minutes is gonna be, it's like wasting money. Like
Right.
I need at least 1.5 hours. I went there. I was exhausted in 30 minutes, like legit exhausted.
Right.
And then I found out that gymming is different from horse riding, and then martial arts was completely different.
Right.
Completely different. And back then I was talking to another person today morning also that I used to take chewy foods like cornflakes and stuff because my jaw was hurt. I couldn't bite on food for continuous 2 months when I was.
Why?
Because like I was taking punches, right?
Oh, okay.
And sparring and stuff.
Right, got it, sparring.
So, and like once you're accustomed to gym, you can do 2 hours gym in the evening and your body won't feel it. The
Right.
soreness goes away after a certain phase, 2-3 months. But like if you're in a mixed martial arts camp, you're going in the morning, you will be asleep for like next 3-4 hours because it's so tiring.
Right.
Because the regime is so difficult, and it's like you're preparing your body weight loses drastically. So
Right.
these are different sports. So initially it was difficult to manage, and that time I was not working in an organization. So it was like, okay, I'll write my lab work and I'll be alive after the session.
Right.
But now like I am accustomed to things, like I know that which activity I have to put in what part of my schedule. Definitely work from home is a big advantage. So let's say if I have to do a 30-minute swim, I'll put that before lunch. So I'm done with my calls and my morning calls. I am breaking out for lunch. I'll go for swimming. I'll come back. I'll have my food. Again, I'm back on the calls. I have like, let's say I have done continuous calls from 7 p.m. So I'll do another activity, like I'll paint till 4:30 to 5:30, something like that. So I balance that out. I have a book on my table. That's how I manage the time. But these activities are very different activities.
Totally. Like none of them aligns with the
Yeah.
another.
And that gives perspective. Like the shift is very beautiful. Like when you are sitting with an artist, the faculty will tell you have to let your thoughts loose. Like,
Right.
let it flow.
Ah.
Let it be freedom. You're not bound by anything. The moment you shift to martial arts, it will be sharp focus.
Ultra focus.
Ultra
Yeah,
focus.
exactly.
You cannot give
yeah.
a second of that. And the people, because they are not shifting. The other people are not shifting. I
Yeah.
came from there, from an artistic session where
Correct.
people will like more philosophy and stuff, that part. And then you see that here people are talking about, if I go and talk about the art thing, what are you talking about?
Right.
You find overlaps, but even in India, like martial arts and horse riding, I'd say completely different.
Ah,
Martial arts, it's not very money making in our country as of now.
as of
So
now,
people
yes.
who are working, they're mostly working for government jobs. So there, when I went, and from slightly privileged background, you're competing with people who are using bricks as dumbbells, who are sleeping on the floor. For them, winter is nothing. So their body is already hardened by nature. And you're trying to fight, you're taking a protein shake and you're thinking that you're going to fight them. And they are fighting for a different purpose. They'll get a job, a government job, if they get medals at state. And so it's a completely different ambience, beautiful place where people, it's not just a sport, it's their life and death. They're going to earn using that. It's their career. Versus when you go to a horse riding camp, bureaucrats are there. They are there on the weekend. So we used to take horses to hillsides, and there used to be a bonfire. So
Right.
people like IS officers, their children, they used to come over there. And in Torian, if you're aware of the school, that's like 60 kilometers from there. But that was a privileged background. They are coming from cars, they're bringing their horses, and they're not worried about that. It's a leisure activity for them.
How expensive is horse riding in India?
So in India, I'd say that even at a place like Ranchi, it's like for a week, it will be like 8,000 to 10,000 rupees
For a week.
for a week. Yeah. It's costly because the stable has to maintain, like the more the quality of the horse, it's difficult to maintain them,
right,
and
right.
they have to train also. because there are children involved in schools particularly, and whatever classes that you're doing. And it's way more costly in Bangalore than metro cities.
Definitely. A little shift in the gears here. I really wanted to know that what's your daily regime looking like when you are in Bangalore working at Deloitte? What are the tasks on your table? How do you lead a day?
So I'll just give a context of what my role exactly is.
Right, please.
So I got my campus placement from Misra itself, and I started off as a developer, complete machine learning developer, data science and stuff. And back then we didn't have this generative AI and stuff, so we mostly worked on basic use cases like sentiment analysis, then NLP, data science stuff. So over the years, what I did was, because it's a consulting firm, you also get a chance where if you are good at speaking, if you can talk to people, you can also try your hands in more client-facing roles.
Right.
And that's basically a way up the ladder. Like if you can be left independently with clients, basically you are someone who is reliable.
Right.
Otherwise, you'll need to have someone as a supervision because you're in a client-facing role. So later, what I did was I was working, like I used to read a lot of white papers. So I'm still involved in the academia part, but I like talking to clients, being the mix of business, what can be done, and talking to people and bringing in the clients. So say another thread is working, let's say some financial PayPal, someone is another team working with them, and I'm working with so and so another client, and I know that this use case can be translated over there. So I talk to the developers that what is your tech stack? Can I attach? Can we migrate the solution there also? Can we benefit from that? So currently my day in life looks like that. I mostly work with developers. I do the coding part, but I also work with developers deciding what, because today, man, generative AI is like every week it's changing and stuff.
Right.
This model came up, is it better than the last one? So parallelly we are running like one experimentation thread where you're comparing the models, like is it, because mostly the models are in beta phase, so how feasible the integration will be, what are the results, and then partly it's like you're showing the experiment results to clients who are non-technical. So you need to find a way where they are conveying the information without getting into the alphas and betas.
Right. I was going through this study where it was saying ki, these companies, they are not integrating the pre-existing solutions, they are making something of their own because they have so much data on their with the company.
Yeah.
So what's the scene with that?
So generally people start out like, it's always a non-academic firm will always go for the efficient solution, if you remember from our discussion last time also.
Right.
That they are not focused on increasing the accuracies and stuff. They are focused like what is bringing the maximum revenue with least cost involved. That's what sells, right? We are giving you the optimum solution. So when we say that, we start off always with generic models. We see that, is it working or not? So let's say if a RAG is helping me out without fine-tuning the GPT model.
What's a RAG?
So basically, let's say you have a language model, a large language model, and I'll take you back to 2021-22. GPTs were coming out, and let's say now you want it to be solely on your organization data. So this is how any Gen AI model gets famous, right? People are playing around, but when you have to put it in production or anything, it has to be with a specific guardrail, a set of rules. My bot should not say this to consumers. I can be sued. Those kind of stuff come in. So one way is to fine-tune the model, like. But the thing with these models is you don't fine-tune them for factual information. So let's say if you have 3 PDFs and you want your model to know this data, you don't fine-tune the GPT. It's not that. You fine-tune it for making it learn some pattern. So if I want my model to speak like a lawyer, I'll train it for that. If I wanted to speak like a poet, I'll train it for that. So when you're fine-tuning a model, it's for a pattern. It's like your brand value, something like that. But if you want to do it on factual information, you use something what's called a RAG. Basically, if you remember annotations from school, right? So you were not a domain expert in that, but what you know was English.
Right.
That I can read these paragraphs, and then if somebody's asking me a question, even though I'm not a technical expert in this domain, but given the context, I can answer the question. So that is right. So you have few documents which can change every week.
Right.
So you don't keep fine-tuning, cannot keep fine-tuning. So what you give your GPT model is this extra context, and then on the basis of the question that you ask, you instruct your GPT that you can only answer using this context. Nothing outside. If somebody's asking anything outside, just decline. I cannot answer. So this is where, like, let's say you're in a pharmaceutical company, in a finance company, a new product came out. Let's say a new insurance came out, and now you want your consumer to be able to talk to the PDF directly, that I
Right.
want to have questions or something, then drag is a very useful thing over there, that you have instructed that anything if the user asks from this context, you answer, else you don't. So it's like
Correct.
safeguards, cheap for organizations, you don't have to keep fine tuning it. And so once you're done with this, now coming to the part where the own data comes in. Now let's say with all this thing done, I have implemented drag, I have implemented input guardrails and everything, still I want more refinement. Then I'll go to my custom data, I'll fine tune it. But it's always in the increasing order of cost efficiency.
Correct.
Like I want to, if it's giving me small cost efficiency, I'll keep it back. I'll take decreasing order.
Correct. And Deloitte was the one who took you to the Nvidia AI recent
Yeah.
summit. Oh, how was the summit like?
It was amazing. So I think Nvidia is the holy grail of AI right now, hot
Yeah.
in the market.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
So hardware, software, both,
Right.
and like they do absolutely amazing work when it comes to scaling solutions, inference time, everything. So the summit was basically what I love in these kind of conferences. It was academia, people with their like professors from IIT Bombay, product owners from Nvidia. There were investors, there were startup owners, pre-seed, like people who have raised a lot of funds.
Right.
Then there was Jensen Huang,
Yeah.
the CEO.
Mr. Jensen.
Then
Yeah. The man, the myth,
yeah,
the legend.
our beloved Mukesh Ambani.
Yeah.
I think he added absolutely great points to the fireside chat, and I was there like I went there 7 a.m. in the morning to get the front row seats. My entire team was sitting in the last row, and I was there sitting. And like once that got over, like you had the freedom to decide if you want to go to business ventures session, you can go over there. If you want to go to some e-commerce scaling, you can go over there. So they were independent parallel sessions, and it was like I said, a mix of business, academia, and the organizations, the industries. So it was amazing. Like at 2 days events, 1 day workshop, it covered almost everything you could have asked for.
When it comes to networking at such events, how do you proceed with it? Like, how do you interact with people who you don't know?
Yeah, so I think it comes to how extrovert you are. So if let's say if there's some speaker and there are two kinds of people you could possibly want to meet, either the one who is taking the session, or either the one who's asking good questions. Right, in the Q&A section. So you just go, and like you need to have some background, because obviously you need to understand that if that person is worth connecting, there are thousands of people trying every day.
Correct.
Right. So you need to start with something which automatically shifts the gear for them also. Like, oh nice, this is something that's the first time somebody has asked. So that's how you go over there, and you start with something like in content creation there is like hooks, right? Like you start with something that grabs the attention, and then you can start the storytelling post that. So over there also, like most people are like, they will listen to you, what do you have to say. There are lunch time periods where everybody's talking. Jensen Huang is not there meeting everyone, so everybody's there like figuring out, okay, where are you from, even in queues when we were standing in the line. I mean, a lot of freshers, I think for them it was a golden opportunity, like the entire recruiters are standing in line. Deloitte, PayPal. I saw that one student was there, he was taking LinkedIn contact with everyone almost, like he was entire line. So it was great networking opportunity over there.
Right. ये वैसे नहीं होता था शादी में सारे अंकल खड़े हैं सबके पैर एक साथ छूने
की फोटो है देख लो तुम.
Correct. You know, there was this, when this summit was happening, there was this headline which was, you know, on the newspapers that, you know, 76% of the employees of Nvidia are now millionaires.
Yeah.
What's your take?
Yeah, so like I said that, and there was a beautiful statement that was given by one of the product managers over there, that accelerated computing is a co-design problem. So the thing was that when Nvidia had to scale inferencing and everything, basically they had to learn everything from software to hardware. So because if you want to accelerate some process where your code is running in a better way on their hardware, you need to understand the code as well as the hardware, as well as how your code is being transferred to the hardware. So they had to figure out everything in the process. They cannot leave any part of the bottleneck, which it's like a puzzle for them. So they cracked hardware. Now the moment they cracked hardware, all these companies are competing in terms of software, but they cracked what they are selling to all these companies.
Correct.
So Meta is taking resources from them. Azure is taking resources from them. So basically, they are funding the AI war. Like when I say war, I'm not meaning that war, but like
Right.
in terms of software,
Right.
like my model is best, my model is best. So
Right.
that game they have cracked, and like that has made people millionaires because they're selling to almost every top player that you play the game. I just give the resources.
Right. That's the game they are playing. And who do you think is going to win this war, or maybe the race of?
So I think that's the beautiful
Yeah.
part. A lot of people are on the same side. I think a company like Meta making Llama open source, I don't think they are worried about that. They're giving out, and I think that is how it should be because these companies, like I said, and I think for particularly for the freshers out there, like who want to break in the machine learning sector, I talked about this in the DevFest also. There, this is a very broad domain. Now you're having B.Tech in AI, you're having masters, PhDs. So the depth and the breadth, both of them, like if you want to go into the field, these companies are having separate application and separate research team. A lot of times software engineers were just implementing the models that these researchers are working on because the depth is so high that you cannot expect results in a sprint, like in a week, in 2 weeks or something like that. You have a dedicated team where team members are often professors who are working 6 months with the organization, and then they're teaching 6 months, and then their PhD students are working in the organization. So I don't think it's against any system. The same college is working with this team, they are collaborating with colleges. There was a session by Professor Pushpak Bhattacharya. He's a professor of CSE in IIT Bombay. Meta collaborated with IIT Bombay and Enilius to build chatbots for legal complaints.
Got it. Yeah.
So they are working together. Like it's not that there's a competition. They're working with the organization. So I think that is what is going to bring ultimate success. Like that is why I think OpenAI faces slight criticism of why it's keeping it closed source, but some people have some revenue goals also.
Got it.
Like Stable Diffusion is open source.
Got it.
That was a huge advantage back then.
Getting you back to the Nvidia AI Summit, what are the, let's say if I ask you what are the things that you learned from that conference, what those would be?
Yeah, so one thing was currently a lot of experimentation that's going into Gen AI, and because of the legal things, almost all of the threads go to 90%, and it's not being able to convert to B2C because of the risks involved. You don't want to give to consumers, but a lot of experiments which have gone to post beta stage, they are in B2B. Like we both have understanding of what's happening, where the failure cases might be, but we don't want to get left behind that it's 2027 and things work out, and we have to start from scratch.
Correct.
So because it's an organization, inside organization, let's say I'm doing it for my own operation, like you use ChatGPT for your, let's say, assignments or anything.
Right.
You know that if there's something, I'm going to do a proofreading before submitting it. I mean, even if not, it's okay. But we do that, right? There is some restriction. But let's say you're a doctor and you have to give prescriptions. You're not going to do
Then it's risky, yeah.
Yeah. If you cannot leave that unsupervised. So a lot of places where I'm seeing is these experiments which were going till 90%, and we were not able to understand how this will work on scale. But with Nvidia and the understanding of how B2B works, like with taking this thing into consideration that, okay, all the companies are together on this, that this is the understanding. We are, even if I'm failing because nobody else is better than this. This is where I'm stopping because this is it in the market. So that is the goal right now. And that is what I learned, like a lot of things over there. Even the startup investors, why would you invest in something that's not completely moving right now? But the goal is, when I'm in 2024 December, if my tech is Gen AI, it's the state of the art in context to what's possible in 2024. Because the moment let's say OpenAI comes out with something like a few weeks back, OpenAI came out with O1 models.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So we have started experimentation. So, and we have started for something that we left 3 months back because at that time GPT-4o was not giving good results. We left it saying that the moment this models improve, anyway, your product is going to sell. We left it at that pace, and now we have started experimentation. That we are not going to left it behind.
Right.
So that is something that I learned from India. Scale, because these solutions you have to scale always. Inferencing is important. So that is the pure engineering part, like how to improve the latency and stuff on that high scale, accelerated computing part.
Right. So that it's just so interesting, how things are scaling at a very rapid rate. But there is something else which is also scaling at a very rapid rate, and those are your views on your Instagram channel. And uh, you have able to get some crazy views like 500, 300K. What's your message that you are delivering at your Instagram
Yeah,
pages?
so I think my message is on the lines of what I was talking about when we started the podcast, that you can have the life that society has imposed on you, and along with that, you can break free too. And there has to be a harmony. You cannot think of your. There's one reel that I have posted where I say that you think you can escape from this. No, you cannot escape. So if you have vacation plans on weekends, it should be in harmony with your Monday to Friday. Because otherwise, every Sunday night will be a nightmare for you.
Right.
That I have to open a laptop. And again, it's a privilege. Because these activities, whatever you do, they are the result of your job. Your job is fueling this. So I never say it should be 50-50. I always say it should be 70-30. Because this 70 of your job is giving you the privilege that you can have these problems.
Right.
It's a luxury to have a problem that you are busy at 7 p.m. in the evening. Ask the people who are not. They will give anything to get a job. The current recession market is there. They will give anything, like I'll work. So when you are there, respect that it's there, but don't let that drown you into something where your entire 20s is gone. Because any amount of money, I work in Bangalore. People have money. People are founders. Cash is flowing like anything.
Right.
But their 20s is gone. Now, I talk to people, like even if I'm talking to my father, I say that everything is sorted in your life right now. Let's go to some vacation, I think. And there's one statement that's a very priceless statement that I wish I could have gone in when I was 25. Today I can have 5-star resorts and everything, but maybe I cannot randomly climb that wall with 4 of my friends and go to that side of the beach, which is not allowed.
Right.
The things that you cannot do, and I respect that biological clock. I cannot do kickboxing after I'm 35 or 40 because then my jaw, if I take too many shots, I'll get brain damage. I might be at a risk of more fractures if I planned on learning horse riding, given that, okay, one day I'll be 35 years old, I'll be settled, I will have a horse worth 2 crore rupees, and then I'll start learning. Then I'll always have to keep a doctor on my speed dial that if I fall, I'll be gone.
Right.
So, but I can paint when I'm 70 years old. I can read a book. I can be a physicist. I can be an AI scientist when I'm 60 years old. I can still be a lecturer. So you see how beautifully time has laid out that plan.
Right.
And when I used to go to horse riding classes, I used to see this small 3-class standard 4 students, and I was like, I wish I had that childhood because my problems were different. Why would my problem was only playing cricket and just going down and doing random stuff and coming back to my home. And it was not because some things are because of privilege, but some things are pure lack of information.
Right.
And I think today's world, you don't have that lack of information. Back then, even if like 10 kilometers away there was a shop, you couldn't know unless until you cross that. But today you know everything. It comes in reels. I think that's another way of capitalism that has come in, because now every resource that's coming out, you get to know about it. Randomly scrolling, you get to know about it. But that time it wasn't there.
Right.
And that's something that I still think that if I started even early, life could have been different. My body could have supported me more.
Talking, you just talked about hustling and all. I really wanted to. So I was going through this quote by Shah Rukh Khan. He was talking about कि यार, if you have a goal, if you have an aim in your mind, then ये खाना पीना भूल जाओ, सोना भूल जाओ. He said that he feel envy from people who don't have a goal in their life, so they are just chilling. So what's your take? You are on the same path as what Shah Rukh Khan said.
Yeah. So I think, like I said, it's not the principle, it's mostly the person. Because again, the statistic thing that comes into picture, that you're seeing few of the success stories. So a lot of people live and die by this principle, and maybe they're not reaching the fame that Shah Rukh got.
Yeah.
But you're listening to his side because he got there. There are other people who are living by the same principle, maybe they are not there. So I think there's one thing that I don't do. I don't bend the definition of success according to myself.
Right.
Because a lot of people have the habit that everybody as a childhood wanted to be an astronaut or something on that scale. Right? Slowly reality hits, and then we start that, okay, this, then this. Nobody is like in, I think, in their 5th and 4th standard saying that data analyst बनना है.
Correct.
ये save करना है Excel. और
Correct.
यही है.
Data analyst
So
ही बनना.
I think there's a time where your brain is always in the pursuit of greatness, of legendary level. And then you start slowly shifting your definition of success. So, and that creates a clash, because now everybody on social media wants to be called king. Like if somebody comments king on your comment, you'll feel the dopamine rush, even though you are doing nothing on the scale of what a king does. Nothing. Literally nothing. But you still don't want that term to be taken away from you. That, yeah, I'm a king, I'm waking early and I'm going to job, and this is nothing what a king does. But we have degraded the term itself.
Yeah.
If you look like slay king, why? Because you're wearing a kurta.
Right.
Like imagine the degradation of the word king that has gone down, because we have taken that we don't want to let the word go away from us, but we want to define that. No, success. King, according to me, is someone who is able to handle his routine, her routine or something. No, don't change that. That is something that I don't do, and that's why I've like divided the goals that I have into 3 buckets. The first one is basically the things that are above me. Like they are what the humans who have descended have shown that this can be done, like physical workout and everything. You cannot it's a waste to let your human body go without seeing the top potential. I think I'm paraphrasing the quote a bit, but so I do that, like irrespective of how am I feeling, how my day was, because every day is not bed of roses even at your job. Sometimes it goes down, demos go bad, stuff happens, but it should be irrespective of that. I have to go to the gym. I cannot break my diet. I have to follow the diet. So that's a bucket where I have to do it irrespective. Other bucket is where I have to compete, the SRK criteria.
Right.
That I have to win. Whatever I'm doing in that phase, like whatever activity I did, I tried to get to at least states or nationals. So when I was doing horse riding, I left the classes when my teacher told me that you can go to the Kolkata Race Club now. That was what my cue that this is no longer a hobby for me. I did it. I learnt it. It was not that I randomly came and took 3 photos and left. Now I can ride it without my hands and everything. So similarly for martial arts, I played states, and today I am working with my state association in the wrestling and grappling area, and I go to the camps with them. So I have that content that this is in the second bucket where I'm not a hobbyist. I am a martial artist. I'm performing over there. In arts, same thing. I think that's something that I've done for the longest period of time, like 20 years, 21 years. So that is something again in my second bucket. Then there are things which I do in the non-SRK way. I do it because I want to do it. If I have to learn a language, if I have to swim, I don't want to go to states or nationals, but I want to learn it. I find the idea that one day I can swim in the ocean interesting. One day, if I'm at the beach, I want to dive in without any fear. That I keep in the third bucket.
Right.
These things are still good, but I'm not going to kill myself over it. If I'm missing a swimming session, I'm not killing myself. If I miss a gymming session, it gets to my head. Similarly, for the second thing, I have to go. So this is how I have divided, and that's how I live by these things.
What do you have to say to people who say the fact that you should not be jack of all trades? You can be a jack of all trades but master of none. Like people, so like why I'm putting this out is because you're doing multiple activities, and you're not pursuing them as your hobbies. They are your niche now. Don't you think that that's more of a journalist role, that you do martial arts also, you do horse riding also, you are good at coding also? So what do you have to say?
So I think I also started on the same line, but if you complete the code, it's like better than none. Better than the general
none,
one. Yeah.
Right.
So, but that was my idea but I didn't want to stick to jack of all trades. That's why I thought that it should not be a hobby. I don't want to be a jack of all trades. Why cannot I be the master of everything? Because of the kings that I read about. Like they had to have the perfect knowledge of the geography. That my enemy is coming from that direction, you have to flank this side. They need to know about horses. They need to know about the weapons. They need to know diplomacy. If somebody is coming as a messenger, if somebody is coming like I have to do peace. They had excellent management skills.
Right.
How harvesting will be done, how the taxes will be arranged, everything was happening. and it was again by the will of that person. That person was knowing how to give justice. There were people who were not giving it, like let's say if I talk about Alexander the King, I condemn a lot of things he did. He was great because he was great in that period. A lot of things he did was not something you want to replicate today.
Right.
The killing, the everything, but he was a great strategist.
Right.
A lot of places, let's say if you have to conquer some other place, the other places already gave up because of what he had done in the other one. And then he said that I am here to rescue you, not take over you. And they already surrendered. And a huge part of that kingdom that he acquired was because people willingly gave him some part of it. He did things that were almost on the verge of madness, burning boats, going to the island.
Yeah.
But there's one thing that I take from him. There was one man who decided, sitting in Macedonia, without GPS, without anything, that I will conquer till Afghanistan, till the Indic region that time, and he did.
Manifestation is the key, na?
No, I think I don't believe in a lot of manifestation. I think he just decided and then nothing stopped him. Because today, people have to go to the gym, they'll say that barish ho rahi hai. Imagine the shame I feel when I compare it with that scenario. Again, you cannot, sometimes you can say that it's okay, it's raining, I leave it. Some people don't have it the priority. Some people will have, how the hell is rain stopping me?
Right.
Then some people will be like, I will show rain, I'll walk. That level of craziness.
Right.
So everybody has different SRK definitions, right? But like when I compare, I try to compare everything with the with the Alexander analogy. A man decided from Macedonia without any resources. He was jealous of his dad that he's not going to leave anything for me to conquer.
Right.
And then Aristotle told him that there's a lot still left that you haven't conquered. He learned medicine. He learned a lot of subjects. He used to read literature. So if you have heard of Homer, the Iliad, these texts, that was their English syllabus, basically, the poems that they used to read. So if you have heard about the famous character Achilles, Troy, you might have seen. So Achilles was a role model for Alexander.
Oh.
And there's a famous scene in the film Troy where Hector, after being killed by Achilles, is being pulled by the chariot. Like he tied his legs and pulled him. He did that thing. I don't recall the exact phrase, but he did that to one of the warlords or kings, I think. Replicated the same thing. He was so influenced by that person. But that time it was there. If you decided you go for it, you go for it. It's not that I'm missing something. And today you'll see again that there is a mix. I'll bring one more point of view. Do you leave your family for your hustle, or you come back to your family?
Come back to my family.
Alexander left Macedonia and never came back because he couldn't. He died at 32 or something like that. And that time they had to decide, because the entire, even in the story, Iliad, and then the return journey, the Odyssey, there the entire soldier fleet, that war lasted for like 10 years or 15 years or something like that. And they had to decide that I'm going. I might not come back. Even if I do, I'll be like 15, 20 years. The entire state might have changed. It's possible that the children might have been killed because of wars over there.
Right.
And today it's like, I don't even think that there's a question. People say today that, okay, I have left my family. Dude, you have WhatsApp, you have calls, you have flights. That man decided, walked. That's another interesting thing. When they decided that they have to go to Afghanistan, they had to go on foot, bloody foot. Imagine you want to go to Delhi tomorrow and people will like, we'll have to walk.
Nah. Right.
They decided, and they used to do for continents and seas, but I want to do it, I'll do it. Nobody's going to stop me.
It's so crazy to have this perspective living in this.
And you can shift that to your, and you'll find that at the end of the day, there's no one trying to kill you.
Exactly.
You're going to go to your bedroom, you can have your protein shake.
Yeah.
You can scroll Instagram with the ideology that you lived your entire day as a king, with that ideology in your mind. And then everything related to time management goes away. Because then you realize that I have a lot of time. It's just I had to prioritize and the way that I thought about things.
That has to be the coolest perspective I've ever come across. Great. Yeah. Coming to the strategy part though, how do you like plan your post? Like what goes into thinking whenever you are preparing a post for your Instagram?
Like I said, I have been an artist for a long time.
Yeah.
And when you start going, you start watching a lot of cinema. So whenever I listen to a song,
yeah.
and I think almost everybody has gone through. You imagine yourself in the song,
Yeah.
right, in scenes.
Mm.
So I try to do that with the activities that I do. So when I'm listening to the end part of a song, which is like an instrumental, that's I think a few days back I posted a reel with Khuda Bhi, a song is there, ki tu bhi misal hai, teri kya misal do. And like when it's ending, like I'm imagining frames in my mind.
Mm.
And then like every beat has to a frame, like everything has to be in sync. So I imagine that, and then I know that I have the activities that I can put there.
Mm.
And nothing is stopping me. Like I imagined a reel where I was doing horse riding with a bow.
With a
will
bow,
do
yeah.
it. I'll do
Yeah.
it. I'll go for it. That is where I thought that this is something I want to do. I'll do it. I'm not going to stop, because if my office would have said that tomorrow you have to learn C#, people do it. Nobody did linked lists and data structures before coming to the college. They really did. But because society tells them that, companies tell
Yeah.
them that you have to do it, they do it. So I do that with my dreams. I don't care. I would have gone to Mongolia if it was not impossible in Goa. Because in Bangalore, nobody was allowing me to do it with a bow. They were like, horses might get hurt. So I thought I'll rent it on a beach.
Right.
And that's how I plan the content. If I have a frame, if I have to burn paintings, I'll burn it. If it's there in the mind, if it's there in the frame, I'll do it. I don't care where it has to go.
And all this is a one-man show, or somebody's helping you?
No, it's one. It's good in this scenario. I did this mistake when I was running my startup, my edtech startup. That's not a good thing to do solo.
Okay. And like, I have to put this question. After making such content, I feel like a lot of female attention you're getting. How are you coping up with that?
Yeah, so sometimes I try to answer to the DMs. So the thing is, it's not only female attention. People, I think the best part that has happened, and I'm going to post a reel about this soon. I have recorded that people have realized, and I've got DMs, so heartwarming DMs, where people have told that there was a flame that was missing in their life, that their hobbies they wanted to do. They always thought that ab nahi possible hai life mein, ab job hai वगैरह. They have started doing that. And that is the best messages that I get, that content inspired them ki acha chalo 6 nahi. I know that somebody in the world might be doing 20. By Elon Musk, he's running 5 companies. That level people are there. I'm just doing 4-5 activities. I'm just trying to maximize all these activities. Somebody might have the capacity of doing 10, somebody 20. But that people getting, and when I get the DMs, that sometimes people share such intricate level details that they were on suicidal lines. They don't know me. And the faith that they place, that is something, and the female attention is there. So I try to reply to people. But eventually, like when it's scaled, like when I was in 1,000, 2,000, I could reply to everyone, but now it has gone to a place where it's difficult. But I try to reply to almost everyone.
That's great. When is the time you started posting content?
I think this was in 2018, but it was very sporadic, like random. And it was like, my stories, you might have seen, are slightly different than the reels. Reels have like an entire end-to-end story.
Right.
But stories are bit one.
Yeah, it's a message. Yeah.
It's a message. It's a single frame kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I used to post a lot of stories, less posts, very sporadic. But recently I thought that why not take it up, because there is a lot of potential to grow here also.
Got it. I think we talked about it all. We talked about the AI. We talked about, there was this one question people were worried about. I was going through this Reddit thread. I wanted to ask this question, and I'm going to just slide it in right now. Although it's very sunny right now, it's very hot. We're gonna wrap this soon. But there was this thread. It was stating that AGI is soon. I want you to explain to the users, to the listeners who are listening us till now, what really is AGI, and is it really scary, man? I mean, what happens if the AGI gets consciousness?
So, first of all, like the people who have been working in the machine learning sector know that you might have seen the memes where we were like told we will have flying cars and everything in 2024, and in 2024 there's a cat sitting and the AI is labeled it as dog. Okay, so when I say that, like I said, in corporate also we sometimes have a hard time selling because of the process and everything. So when you as a consumer, let's say you're a student or you're experimenting with models, it's very fascinating right now. Everybody has the access. It has been democratized a lot, but when you're trying to put it into something meaningful, it's the traditional models that have taken, because it's the most subtle technologies, like Zomato telling you after how much time the driver will reach. Ola giving an estimate of the cost. These are the actual ML cases that have gone into scale as of now.
Mhm.
The other ones we are still trying to figure it out. AI is making mistakes and it's just matrix multiplications. There are theories, there are like beautiful explanations as to how models expand the information, like how scale is helping. So there was a recent video by I think Veritasium, or there's one different channel where they explained that why increasing the embedding size has an exponential effect in the amount of information that you can store. So I'd say that don't worry about AGI because it's all mathematics. It's there. AGI is something which I don't think is going to sell very soon. Even if it's like you get a demo, always remember it's a skewed demo. People always show something that's on the positive side. You might have seen O1 was the result because they were not able to decide how many R's are there in strawberry. Models are saying 9.11 is greater than 9.9. So it's still time, but again, you never know. But I'll not be worried about AGI, man. I think for me, even on a small scale, it's far-fetched.
Got it. Totally makes sense. Before we wrap this up, I have this quick rapid fire round made for you.
Yeah.
You have to answer the question, and if I ask you why, then you have to answer that as well. Sounds good. All right. So the first question: sketching or coding?
I have to choose one.
Yeah, you have to choose one.
I'll go with coding.
Coding, why?
So I'd say because
Bread and butter.
no, I have this theory that you can be an engineer 9 to 5 and you can be a beautiful artist 10 to 12 right at night. The other way is not possible. You cannot be an artist full day and randomly be an engineer for the next 2 hours. So I can find out those patterns in mathematical curves, which I could have sketched as curves.
Got it. Which AI would you prefer? AI that makes life easier or AI that entertains?
I'd say make easier, but because of like the things I'm working in. Things that entertain you should be more human.
Your go-to way to de-stress after a long day?
I'd say sketching.
Sketching?
Swimming, because swimming I do it for this just a pleasure purpose. I don't have a goal over there that I have to play states or something. So I do that. Music, painting. So I have this thing that I will put out some great music. I'll paint something. I'll read some book, and then maybe I'll swim.
Got it. One UFC fight you dream to watch at the stadium?
I think the recent one, the Ilgetapuri and Max Holloway.
That was a crazy fight, yeah.
Plus the build-up and everything. That was so. Plus the rose touch at the end. That's always
right. And that knockout, man, has to be the deadliest, man.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to these young professionals who are watching till the end? Who are just about to step in the world of professionalism, are struggling to find a job right now, maybe struggling to find a niche where they want to build a career. What do you have to say to them?
Yeah. So I'd say, folks, like it's definitely important to get a job. Like that should be the priority. Like I said, that's 70-30. But once you're there, once you are at the point where pain is privilege, then try to explore things that make you more human. That because everybody's gonna earn a certain amount, you're gonna be there. Don't worry. You just have to be consistent. People are there every day in office. I see people coming at 9, clocking out of 10, and then just going back. Extreme amount of money, cash flowing, everything. But that part that connects you. Because when you want to see a movie, what do you prefer? You prefer spaceships, you prefer horses, you prefer songs, you prefer rom-coms. But then when you come to your own activities, do you think that there is a movie that can be made on your own life, even a 3-hour-long movie after you have lived for 26 years, 25 years? Do you think that's justified for this beautiful world that God has kept you in? So I'd say that work very diligently. There should be a harmony between what you do and what you do on your weekends. And that's it. Just find your flow.